Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast, where we will have real life conversations that hopefully helps you gain an accurate way of thinking. And the way we're going to do this is by gaining a better understanding of how emotions, feelings, and thoughts can influence the outcome of a personal or professional challenge. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields, and today's guest is Sergeant Major Michael Dutchins. How you doing, Sergeant Major?
Mario P. Fields, I'm fantastic, man. How are you, sir?
Hey, you know the deal, man. And I'm gonna say this. I gotta give a shout out to his current unit, the Rhinos. You know, I'm not gonna tell the world how I got this, but you know, the Rhinos it is.
Hey, keep charging.
Well, tell the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself, Sergeant Major.
All right, Mario, first and foremost, it's an honor to be a guest on your podcast.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely humble and honored to be here. Again, as you mentioned, my name is Michael Dutchin, Sergeant Major, United States Marine Corps. Been here in uniform for the past 25 years. Married to a beautiful bride. This December, going to make 20 years of marriage.
20 years, huh? This December?
This December, sir. Yes,
my
sir.
Man.
Yes, we have 4 beautiful kids. You know, a daughter, she's 22, a son, 21, a younger son who's 19, and then our youngest baby girl who's 10 years old. What a phenomenal family, and I'm humble and honored to be in uniform and to serve and be a servant leader, man.
Man, that is awesome, and you look good to be 245 years, by the way.
Man, thank you, sir. Same to you.
No. Hey, let's jump right into the topic. Here you are. You've been in almost 20 years. You know, you picked up every rank without getting passed over. All of a sudden, the message hits the streets, if you will. Your name ain't on it. Here you are. You've been passed over. But from what my understanding, Mike, is not, not once, but then twice. Let's talk to us. What happened when you got the shock of not getting promoted to Sergeant Major?
Man. So, yeah, you're like you mentioned, the first one, you met folks and you have friends that's had a past before. But I'm sitting, like you mentioned, 19 years of service at that point in the Marine Corps, never failed a selection all the way through, came through a very competitive, I would like to say, MOS, or I like to believe, made it all the way through the rank of first sergeant. And never failed a selection. Matter of fact, had a meritorious promotion in the middle of that as a staff sergeant.
Wow.
So I think, or at least I thought at the time I was doing well. And the first time came out was 2015 and 2016 FY board. And I had the opportunity to be at a PME, professional military education. And had some folks, senior folks out there, they look at my record and they give me some feedback, and the feedback was very positive. Hey, I go by Dutch, so they say, hey, Dutch, man, I don't see a reason why this board should not select you. So, okay, fast forward, come that November.
Right.
Name was not on the list. So I was like, okay, rather than getting emotional, I sat back and on a bigger spectrum, I said, okay, well, maybe it's keen competition, like you always being told it's keen competition. I looked at my competitors and I said, okay, got it. It's one of those things that you probably will never understand. So I went back and I went to the career counselors, and career counselors give me some advice there. And so I took the advice and I move on.
Hey, Dutch, if we may, but let's go back real fast, if I may. When you did not see your name on the list, what feelings did went through you? Like describe, because it never happened to me. And so describe to our viewers and listeners, like, how did that feel, man, when you're just not on the team, if you will?
Mario, so let me say this before. So we were in the field at the time. We were in field X up in northern training area there in Okinawa. So I really didn't have time, or too much time, I should say, to process, because we were in there, and the day we were coming out, I believe, was a message was releasing. So I'm busy, hooking and jabbing. I'm hooking, taking care of Marines, making sure stuff gets done. Weapons turned back into the Army, get accountability, making sure, I'm turning in a good, accurate report to my company commander at the time. So I really didn't, put any focus or thought into that. So it was until the day was almost over that I had time to go back to the office and, pull up the message. And I looked at it once. I'm like, oh, maybe I missed a D.
Maybe I overlooked the D.
Maybe I overlooked this, right? So, well, before I did it, I went and looked at a few other names before, be honest with you. So I looked at a few other names and I saw them. I was happy for them. I was like, yes,
Right.
let me cheer them on. So I made notes, right? I was like, okay, I need to call this person. I need to call that person. And then the last person I went to was me. And I looked on there. There was no Dutchin MB. I'm like, okay, let me scroll all the way down and scroll back up again. And when that happened, I completely left the screen visible. My company commander walked in at the time and he saw the emotions. And I'm not a guy that wears my emotions on my shoulder or my face.
Yeah.
I don't. And he saw it. And he didn't say anything, because he already knew. He had already looked at the list and he noticed I wasn't on there. So he knew exactly what that emotion was coming from.
Right.
And I could tell you, it wasn't so much the emotion, it was the process. Like, what just happened?
Wow,
I am no longer, in a sense, on the team, if you want to say, or am I part of the team? No, because, no, I have friends and mentors that was, rooting for me and going, hey, Dutch, you're going to get selected. Yes, man, you're going to make it. You're a good guy, so forth and so on. Looked at your record and it's
right.
flawless, right? I mean, I'm telling you, Maury, I had 19 years of service, never had a page 11, not recommendation for a promotion, right? And mind you, going through a depot, doing some good stuff down there,
Right.
and moving forward throughout the career, deploying and so forth and so on. Not even a single blemish in the career. So it made me sit back and think, man, how did this happen? What did I miss? Did I miss something?
Right.
And that's when.
And Dutch, if I may, real quick, how many people treated you different? Here you are going through this process. You're reflecting, like you said, you're sitting here going, man, what did I do? How did I not get selected? But as you're going through this, how many people treated you different before the board and after the board?
A whole bunch. A whole bunch.
Wow.
And that was
yeah, go ahead. What was the difference, man?
I'm sorry. That was the hardest piece. Because, you've been there. When you get selected, everyone called you, right? Everyone called you and say, hey, congratulations, man. There was a few people that actually took the time to come to the office.
Wow.
Literally come to the office, and if I may, one of them is Timothy Clay. He came over and he sat down. He said, Dutch, let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. I don't know what you're feeling right now, but I could probably tell how you're feeling. And he's one of few that actually took the time to sit down and really talk things over. Right. Other than that, I mean, friends that I've had, maybe I'm naive, but I thought they looked at me like a little funny, like, man, how did you not get selected?
Right.
Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what kind of skeletons in your closet?
Yeah, like what kind of disease do you have because you didn't get selected?
Right. And you're absolutely right. So, and I saw that it was more so the demeanor, the body language change when, you met someone that you've known for a little bit, and they've we're on your team before. Hey man, good luck. I know you're going to get selected. And all of a sudden, nothing. They utter not a single word, not even, hey man, keep your head up.
Can I take you out for coffee? Nothing. No
nothing. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. One of those few people were Timothy Clay, now a Sergeant Major. The other one was my company commander, believe it or not.
Right.
When everyone left that day, he closed the door and we had a deep, deep conversation. He's a man of strong faith.
Wow.
And and he said, hey, listen, I'm going to church on Sunday. If you would like to join me, I would absolutely love that. I will absolutely love that. So, and we sat in the office, and mind you, like I just said, we came back from the field exercise.
Yeah.
And we were already tired. We've been out there for the past 2 weeks, and we're coming back, want to get home. That didn't even cross my mind. I did not want to leave the office to go home.
Right.
and face that with my bride, because I think she's my hardest critic,
Right. Yeah. I never
to
thought.
go home.
I never thought about that. Not only the feeling and the emotional side of the house of your professional career as a first sergeant,
Mhm.
and you didn't get selected, but then to go home and face kind of your number one fan, man, that's a good point. How was that?
So I went home,
Yeah.
um, didn't say anything, and she knew,
Yeah.
just by my reaction. And, mind you, I haven't been home the past 2 weeks, and I came home, and it, it took everything from me not to break out emotionally,
Right. Right.
and we sat on the back, uh, and we talked. We talked about it, and like I said, she's my number one fan, and she cheered me up. Not once said, "Hey, listen, maybe it's your fault."
Right.
She said, "Hey, listen, maybe it's not your time, but um, this is not the time to drop your pack, right? This is
Right.
not the time."
So
I
you so
re-
you, so you just look. So you're like, all right, babe. You know what? You're right.
yeah,
And you get back to work. You get back into the fight. You clean up your record, whatever there is to clean
yeah,
up,
yeah.
and then it happens again.
Then it happens again. I'm telling you. So this second time when it happens, I completely fail, or feel like a utter failure, man. Right, right, like a utter failure. Like, number one, you had a 50-50
Oh,
chance, right? On the
yeah.
first one, you didn't make that. No, and a second, you didn't. It didn't happen. So going back to a conversation with the monitors, the monitor says, "Hey, first sergeant, I can't. I don't know what to tell you. Any other board, you would have been selected." I said, "What does that mean?" And I came home, and I spoke to the bride, and she said, "Listen, you're feeling sorry for yourself right now, right? Right,
Yeah.
Mario." So that, right, so
That's
it boosts my
awesome.
it boosts my confidence a little bit. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. I did
Right.
not notice. So I went outside, and I was doing some things, and I came back in, and I noticed she was a little, um, down, just teary, eyes was red, and I was like, "Hey, hey, what's going on?" She said nothing, and right then and there, I knew. And as soon as she said nothing, she broke into tears.
Yeah.
She
Wow.
broke into tears, right? Which caused me to get really, really emotional,
Yeah.
really emotional. So I had to be strong, gather myself together, and put it on. And I said, "Hey, listen, everything's going to be okay." And I took off that day, Mario, and I went for a run. I don't know, I can't. It was 13 to 15 miles.
Right.
Just went running Okinawa.
Wow.
Right?
25 to 65 miles, and you are a stud, Dutch.
Right? So I know. Well, no, it's I think 13 to 15
You
miles.
know
Right?
I'm
Yeah, yeah. So I think I
yeah.
ended up doing about 15 miles that day,
Right.
just running. And I could tell you, I did shed a tear doing that run,
Yeah.
because I felt emotionally drained, mentally drained,
Yeah.
physically drained, because I felt utterly like, listen, there's nothing else for me to give, because, I'm not even good enough to be promoted to
Yeah.
the next higher rank. So what do I have to offer to a young Marine when a young Marine come to me and say, "Hey, First Sergeant, tell me about, how it is, or what does it take to be competitive, to be promoted to the next rank, or the next
Right.
higher rank?"
Right.
And I think that what got me, because that emotion and that feeling drove me to some decisions. Luckily, I had some folks in my corner that said, "Hey, um, time out, take a break, because
Right.
you're being emotional right now. You're not making sense. You're making a lot of emotional decisions."
Right.
That drove me to say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to retire, because obviously there's nothing else for me to offer." And I didn't look at it as, well, maybe the big man has a better plan, or whatever the case may be. It was just completely emotional. Every decision that I made for about a good 3 to 4 month period, me, not Marines,
Right.
me, was just emotional.
So
Right?
here you are, like, you know what, man? Okay, the first time, okay, that that hurt. The second time, I'm a failure. What do I have to offer any junior Marine or sailor or officer? So you know what? I'm about to retire. And just listening to you talk through that, but to listen to some advice and apply thought, it's just amazing. So talk to us about when do you believe that you apply thought? When was that moment when thought came in and kind of got rid of your emotions where you did not retire?
And that's again going back to my company commander, Everett Stevenson. He's now a retired guy.
Yeah.
So, after this all, he gave me about 3 days, and then he came into the office one afternoon because, I was always there trying to wrap up stuff around 1700. And here comes the door, everyone was gone. I was there kind of by myself and door open. I was like, okay. And he came in, he sat down and we had a good about 2 hour conversation on him convincing me why I should not leave.
Wow.
And he put this into perspective. He said, "Listen, um, if you leave now, you're leaving because you're making an emotional decision. Think about what you talk to Marines about. Think about when you get in front of formation and you tell Marines that they should not quit regardless of the circumstance." He said, "You know what?" And he always called me Dutch as well. He said, "Hey, Dutch, listen.
Yeah.
If you make that decision now, think about 2 years from now, will you respect that decision that you make? Because it's not going to just impact you, it's going to impact your family, and it may impact some Marines because some Marines are looking to you to see how resilient you are,
Yeah.
to see how much you can endure." And he got me when he said that. He said, "How much more can you endure?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Wow." And,
That's Dutch, if I may, that's a good point. How you brought up all these years, you're the one giving advice, right? You're the one giving advice to folks who are experiencing these barriers and this turbulence, and then it happens to you. And just listening to how your company commander was essentially able to take what you've been doing for almost 20 years and put it back on you.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you receive it too, because you didn't have to take that.
Oh,
You didn't have to comprehend what he was saying. That's
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
And so the person I think that really put that into perspective though is a Master Sergeant Blair Bakke. He just retired.
Yeah.
And he knew that the emotions that I was feeling
Right.
because he used to call my office every single morning. He said, "Hey, Dutch, you got time? Come on over. Let's grab some coffee." Right. So, and coffee time were conversation time.
Yeah.
And this one day he never called me. I was expecting a call around, 09:30.
Yeah.
He didn't call. He showed up. Right. He showed up with a black coffee. He closed the door and he told the folks outside, say, "Hey, listen, we're gonna have a conversation. He'll be out of operation here for a little bit." So in Mescans Bakke, he said, "Hey, listen, I never told you this, but I was sort of on the same decision making or in the same decision making
Yeah.
realm as you were a couple of years ago. And if I had made that decision to walk away from what you love, I see it every day. You love coming to work. You love
Right.
being around Marines. You love being a servant leader. I think you're going to miss it more. And it's going to be based on an emotional decision." He said, "Do me this favor." He said, if this thing does not work out for you, if you don't get up 6 months from now and wake up and say, "You know what, today I'm going to go serve Marines
Right.
and sailors and families," then come see me. I will help you fill out that Appendix J and I will turn it in for you.
And
You
then
know,
then we speed up to 2020,
then we speed up to
and look what we got. We
look what
have
we,
a sergeant
yeah,
major
yes, sir.
twice passed who got selected his third shot, inspiring thousands, including me, and families and friends across the world because he didn't make an emotional decision. What a heck of a story. Is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners and followers? Um, any advice that you would like to leave with them?
Yes. Being or going through this phase of life, you realize a couple of things about yourself. One, you realize how much you can endure. And what I mean by that is it's just not the physical and mental endurance.
Mm.
It's to endure and keep on the course and be yourself. Don't let anything distract you. Don't let the naysayers, don't let those friends that's going to look at you and be like, man, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Do not let that get into you. Just be you and tell yourself that, got it. I fell once, twice. I'm going to get up the third time. I'm going to keep charging, because at the end of the day, no one else control that destiny but you. You control that destiny. And I could tell you, Mario, without a shadow of doubt, you may not notice, but you as a sergeant major back then, I look up to you. Man, this dude is.
Well,
This,
I'm 5'2", so you look down at me.
this dude is inspiring, man. This dude is motivating. When I grow up, I want to be
I
like this.
appreciate it.
And guys like yourself, right? Guys like yourself, that's inspiring, that's motivating, that's zealous, and bring that embodiment of what we call this core value to light, and be that servant leadership. If anything I could give to anyone, it's just endure.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, you will prevail, man.
I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Sergeant Major Dutchin himself. Just because you fail does not mean you're a failure. It's good to fail, just keep going, which
Absolutely.
he didn't stop. Sergeant Major, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we'll see you again.
All right.